Okay. Hello, everybody. This is the first episode of my Let's Play. This is like the third time that I've tried to record this episode. First time, I had a coughing fit, and for some reason I decided to just wipe the whole thing. I wasn't very far into it, I had just created the world. Second time, some biomes were spawning that weren't meant to be spawning. I fixed the configs for that. There'll be an upload to the Raxpack with those fixed configs. And the third time, I can't even remember, but it was bad enough to make me rage quit and start again. So, I think I've got everything figured out. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that this series is going to be using the mod pack Raxpack. That is my own personal mod pack that I've put together um, in order to do this series, and it's just something that I wanted to share and pass around. It's an unofficial mod pack though, so the way that I've been doing it so far is that I've just been giving you these configs in which you can use. You can download the configs and then you can follow the Google document link that I've got, which has all the mods that you're going to need, as well as the links to where to get them and the version that you're going to need to match up with the configs that I'm giving you, so that you can put the pack together yourself. All things going right, you should have the exact same settings that I've got, so seeds should be the same, and all that jazz. So, down the bottom in the description I'll have some links to the Raxpack, and anything else I deem necessary to put down there. But without further ado, let's get going making the world. Alright, so keeping this simple, I'm just going to call it Raxus, and I'm going to give it the same seed. So when you go to copy my world, if you choose to play along, RAXXUS, make sure you change the world type to ATG alternate. Very important. Beautiful world type. Recommend it for everyone. Cheats need to be on. Reason being is because Raxpack is kind of mostly untested. There's been no long play with it yet. There may be some bugs I need to iron out manually in game, so I'm putting cheats on. And because of that, we need to start in creative, because the latest NEI has a bug where if you don't start in creative, you don't have access to creative modes. Alright, create the world. I'll be right back. And here we are, world is made. Down the bottom in the action bar, you're going to notice I have a few manuals to start with. And I'm in creative mode, of course. I have materials new for Tinker's Construct, and Rotary Craft and Reactor Craft. So I'm just going to stick them up there for now. I'm actually going to go over the mods in this episode one by one with everyone, just to make sure you're familiar with what's going to be in there, and see if the pack's for you. Because I really do want to encourage people to play it. I think I'm a fan of it. I should be. I made it. But first things first, because we're on a time limit and nighttime gets very dangerous in this pack, I am going to get punching wood, as you do in any great first episode of a Minecraft Let's Play. You may have noticed that I am coughing here and there, or just clearing my throat here and there. That's because I'm just getting over the flu, or I'm over the flu, but my throat still tickles now and then. Unfortunately, I do live in a house with other human beings, so occasionally I pick up what they get. And unfortunately, my flatmate recently was sick, and I got what he got. Yay. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, first things first, I'm punching wood. So I'm going to go and try and find some sheep. I'm going to get off this island, even though it's a really pretty island, as you can see in the mini-map, sorry, which by the way is Opus, the latest version, but also Opus builds off MapWriter, so it's technically MapWriter. So yes, I'm going to go get off this island. I'm going to find some sheep. I'm going to make a bed before the first night. I'm also going to potentially be back once I've found a place for us to start building, because that might take a while. I'm intending to build in a mountain because I want to have like a kind of dwarf fortress style base this time around, I think, with some really elaborate hallways and rooms on a really grand scale. We're going to be trying to do that sort of thing. I know that people who watch, or who have been wanting to watch me, I can't say you've been watching me, there's nothing to be being watched other than on Direwolf's multiplayer series, have been wanting to watch me for my building style, so that's something I'm going to focus on in this series, is really trying to make something quite elaborate and architectural in its nature, while still remaining functional, because that's how I like to do things. I like to make them both elaborate and functional at the same time. Anyway, yes, I'm going to find some sheep. I'm going to take their... Oh, speaking of sheep, may as well do it now, without cutting. Yeah. Don't mind the blood spurts. That's from Better Trees and Leaves, despite the name. It adds all sorts of visual effects client side to improve what we see. That's why my trees look fluffier and there looks to be more grass around, and there's coral along the beaches and that sort of thing. That's all Better Trees and Leaves. Really great mod. Super lightweight. It doesn't affect anything. Completely client-side, so you could use it on any server anyway. It's awesome. Anyway, I've got some wool. I have wood. And while I'm here, I guess let's make a crafting table. And that's not how you make sticks. Sticks. Pickaxe. May as well get the basic first few tools, huh? I'm not going to set up the little survival base here yet, because I want to make sure that we're basically where we want to build when we start settling down and start putting things down. So I'm just going to take these, get some basic tools made. 15, needs 17. That's magnetite. I'll explain all that once I go through the mods with you. Instantly replace our pickaxe. Axe. Shovel. And finally sword. Oh, that is not cobblestone. And furnace. Everything a budding survivalist needs. I think what else I'll do is I'll just kill these sheep. You may have been noticing that I'm getting meat from these sheep. Of course that's from another mod, but I really like it. I've always thought sheep should drop lamb. Lamb is delicious. I'm a meat eater in real life. I'm also from New Zealand, so sheep are a regular, and also why it's pretty normal to have lamb. So yeah, at this point, since I've got these tools and everything I need for a bed to get through the first night, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here. I'm going to find where we're going to start building the base from, and then I'll be back. Okay, here we are in the morning. We have travelled quite far, and I think we've found where we're going to build. We're going to either build in this mountain or this mountain. As you can see on the mini-map right now, and if I open the large map, we're actually standing in the middle of a really nice valley between two big mountains. Where I last left you was around here, just in the center of the map right now, but we've walked past all the way around here and into this mountain valley, which I found. Now, you probably noticed these big things here. These are chocolate quests, and I'll go into detail about what that is in a bit. But I've had some thinking while I was searching, and I realised there was a couple of possible base ideas that I wanted to do. One was the very dwarf fortressy kind of build into the mountain, really kind of big, majestic open halls on the inside. But the second thing that I wanted to do, possibly for a base idea, is like a oil platform, like in the middle of one of these big bodies of water, probably out here more likely, because it looks like the bigger ocean when I was walking past. So, because this episode isn't likely going to get into any deep architectural work or definitely setting our base one way or another, what I wanted you to put down in the comments, if you're interested, is what kind of base you'd like to see. Something far more internally based, where we'll build inside the mountain and possibly have little turrets and things pointing up, or something like a big, massive oil rig in the middle of the ocean and work from there. Obviously the griffins are difficult. Obviously the the oil rig will be a far more externally interesting base, whereas the mountain halls or mountain fortress will be far more internally interesting, or at least that's what I imagine. So I really just want people to take a think about that and let me know what you want to see. So yes, not quite sure whether I want to go into this mountain or that mountain. Something else I noticed on the way was, and you probably noticed too, taint. So as long as that's loaded, that's probably going to spread. So I think what I want to do is I want to build into this mountain just so that we're a little bit further away from the taint. I don't mind taint spread so much, but it can be a pain if it gets too big. So, first things first, I guess. Oh, and there's some nice little magic forest there, so hopefully we get some quick mana beans for Thorncraft. So let's dig into here. I'm just going to make a quick hovel. And then once the quick hovel is made, I'm going to go through the mods. So, we'll just take this out. And then, oh, limestone. I'll stick a chest down in the bed and whatnot. And chest. There we go. You may have noticed I've got a little bit of leather. That's from the gravestones mod. Yet another thing I'll be going over with you all. Very useful mod. And I'm just going to make one more chest, because I already have too much stuff. And 1, 2. Use up the last of this acacia. And good, we have canola seeds. That's for rotary craft. Okay. Nope. Getting ahead of myself. Door. Hovel is secure. Okay, let's see mods. I'm going to do this in the most lame way. I'm just going to go through this mod list with you. We have applied energistics. A lot of you are probably familiar with it. for those that aren't, it's a kind of storage and processing network for like advanced stages of your play. So once you've set up furnaces, factories, that sort of thing, you can use applied energistics to move things around using these input buses and pipes and cables, um, to shift items around for processing. On top of that, you have the storage system where um, the theme of the mod is that it gets broken down into this matter energy system, um, where all your items are broken down and put onto hard drives. So like you have these solid objects on hard drives. It's a pretty cool concept. And later on you get into world space editing where you're actually moving chunks of land using these spatial storages. Way end game stuff. Next up we have Ars Magica 2. It's a magic mod. It's primarily focused around customizable spells where the player gets to create their own kind of spell book, so to speak, where they put their own spells in, they define what the spells do, from everything from growing crops to being touch to being chain to being beam, digging things, lightning, fire, ice. It's really cool. And then there's all sorts of other things about it, like these Everstones, which are these, they can take on the camouflage of any block, but essentially what they do, you break them, you have several seconds, and then they pop back into existence, and only the owner can remove them. Or, let's see, this armor, which does more than just what normal Minecraft armor does. It affects your mana regen, and once we actually like unlock Ars Magica 2, there's a process to unlocking it, which you'll see throughout the course of this play. You get more interface, so you get your mana bar and your spellcasting experience bar, and your armor, which I'm looking at here, the mage robes and leggings and so on, that affects how you use magic. Continuing on, we have Bibliocraft, has really awesome furniture, basically, and it's not just pretty, it's useful. So you've got like these shelves which you can put anything on. You can see in these pictures there's about 4 sections for you to put something on, so each of those 4 is like one item or one stack of items, but then you've got things like these potion shelves where you can stack potions, tool racks where you can take the tools directly off the shelf without having to open an interface and put them back on again. Some really cool like display cases where simply it's just about putting the item behind it, so you have something to look at. Armor racks, you can see your armor on a rack and you can quickly swap between what's on the armor rack. And then you have different kind of lighting styles if you get sick of torches and that sort of thing. Very cool mod. These are all really cool mods. And then we've got the add-on to that, Bibliocraft, which just lets us use Biomes of Plenty wood. I didn't include the other ones because I don't have forestry and I don't have Natura in this pack. So we've just got the Bibliocraft woods, but there is options if you use Natura or you use forestry for Bibliocraft to support the wood that comes from the trees from those mods. Then we have big reactors, which is kind of like the Redstone Flux version of a Industrial Craft 2 reactor, nuclear reactor, but then also not, because big reactors is easier than the Industrial Craft 2 reactors to get used to. In fact, overall, I would say that they're more powerful and a little bit cheaper, but I also find them more interesting personally. So there's that. We have like, they use this yellorium, which is kind of this mod's version of uranium, to power the reactors, and then you've got plutonium, which is like plutonium, ironically, to be to power the reactors as well. And then we've also got these gas turbines which have recently gone in, which we might see. Next, and you've seen it all around us as I've been wandering about, but biomes aplenty adds, well, interesting biomes to the world. Trees, woods, flowers, blocks, really cool stuff like smouldering grass, ash, even an entirely new dimension called, I keep calling it Paradise, I don't think it's called Paradise anymore, but even its own music. Really cool mod. You've seen it. Then we have Blood Magic. This mod is not for the squeamish, and I'll put prior warning here actually that the mod does involve self-harm, so be prepared for that. If that's not your thing, this probably won't be the Let's Play for you, but it is very cartoonish in its nature. It's very surreal in its nature, so I feel like it might just be more a PG thing than a everybody thing. So that is in the mod. Also a great mod. Also has all this interesting stuff, and I'm not going to go into details because it's huge, but you will see. It's got demons. It's got sigils which let you cast magic. It's got big structures which do their own kind of like mechanical magic, but you'll see all that. Carpenter blocks, personal favourite of mine. Something about this pack that it's really important is it's very visual, it's very aesthetic in its nature. It's about being able to build what you want to build within the Worldcraft Minecraft space. So we've got, as you can see, carpenter slopes. It adds diagonals to the world of Minecraft, not just squares, as well as you're able to apply any texture you want to these, and really it goes perfectly with another mod that I'm going to show you in this mod list, which happens to be the next one, Chisel. Chisel is a very simple concept. It just basically adds more blocks, and it doesn't do it in such a way where you have to go and dig them up or there's any mechanics around it. It's a very simple system. There's this tool here called the Chisel. When you right click it, it brings up an interface. You put a vanilla block or something, or a base block from Chisel into that slot, and then it lets you choose a different texture. It's just about having access to different textures and different styles of blocks. It just opens up the world for more detailed stuff, and it uses a lot from Painterly and other really well chosen artists to make sure that it fits Minecraft 16 by 16 resolution textures, and really does fit into the world quite well. Next up, Chocolate Quest, or as people call it, Better Dungeons. It just adds better dungeons. You might have seen on the map, if I come out here, oh, it's already nighttime, just going to sleep while that goes on. But if we look at the map, here you've got this boat, the tip of a boat you can see there, and this big dungeon here, and a tower here, and another boat there. That's all better dungeons. It just adds interesting places to explore. Something really important about this mod pack that I wanted to get in there was adding more to the world space so that it was way more interesting for everybody to explore. And in that way that you can just step outside and the world is more interesting. You don't have to go and find other dimensions, even though there is other dimensions. You don't have to kind of like make your own fun a lot of the time. There's a lot to explore, there's a lot to go and adventure for, and to make it more visually appealing and thematically polished to the base Minecraft experience. So yeah, and there's all sorts of interesting loot to find, grenades, hook shots, which if you're familiar with The Legend of Zelda, you'll know what a hookshot is. Um, and heavy versions of armor, heavy iron, heavy diamond, which is craftable actually, and it just requires more of the same, but it slows you down while giving you more armor in the long run. Dimensional doors. So speaking of more dimensions, dimensional doors is a really fun mod. It's kind of like a way to travel between world spaces, similar to the way that you go into the nether to get 8 times further away in the real world. But this way, you're going to go deeper in a very recursive manner. Like, you can step through one door and it takes you into the dimension doors, dimension 1, and then you take another door and it takes you deeper again, and another door, deeper again. And each time you go deeper, the further you travel, the higher the multiplier on the real world is, and how far you travelled. Also, in that way, the further you go into these dimensions, the more crazy things can get, but I'll leave that for actually when we get to getting around to it. Dye trees. You've probably seen them as I've been wandering around as well. Dye trees is just something that I really like. I like the idea of having access to dye. They also look really pretty, and then you've got rainbow trees, which are even the most prettiest. Very simple mod. Electrocraft by Raker also. Kind of adds an electric system to Raker's tech mods. The reason I like this is because while having mechanical energy transfer of rotary craft is really cool, it can be pretty cumbersome at times, so using electrocraft you can convert that mechanical energy into electrical energy, and that lets you move it through cables rather than rotating shafts and what have you. E-Masher. We've got actually quite a few of the E-Masher mods. We have E-Masher's resources, E-Masher, let's see here actually, E-Masher resources, Gascraft, I think it's called. Yes, Gascraft, and the other mod, which the name escapes me, which makes it really hard to find in this list. Oh dear. It's here. It's definitely here. Anyway, it goes along with E-Meshes, and it's basically uses these things, these machine chassis, to let you create like custom machines where each side does something different, and you can program the different sides to do something different. Hopefully we get some really cool play out of that. There's a lot of tech mods in here, so it's going to be hard to choose what we use at what time, but hopefully I can figure out a good balance as we get playing. Engineer's Toolbox. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, so those chassis, you apply these sockets, I think they're called, to the sides of that chassis, and that makes that side of the chassis do all the stuff. You've got furnaces, you've got redstone logic, you've got extraction input, energy input, energy output, blah blah blah. There's lots. Pretty much anything you can think of in tech mods, it's got it. Let's see, where were we? Electrocraft, E-Masher, Enchiridion, really important for this mod pack because there's a lot of in-game documentation in books. Tinker's Construct has it, Witchery has it, Rotarycraft has it, Reactcraft has it, so lots of books. And Enchiridion basically lets you have a book of books. So it's all in one place, so you don't fill up your inventories. Ender storage, kind of a must-have, I feel like, on pretty much any mod pack these days. Lets interdimensional and interlocational communication between inventories. Basically, if you fill a white ender chest with items, if you make another white ender chest somewhere else in the world, you can access that same inventory. It's similar to the way vanilla ender chest works, but you have 3 times, ender chest to the power of 3, rather, of the amount that you had to choose from. Um, what else have we got? Enhanced portals. Um, I haven't used it. I've seen others use it. Looks amazing. Basically lets you make any portal of any shape, and it has like a redstone flux interaction kind of system where you can have a library of portals where you want to go through all one portal, similar to the way that kind of Direwolf sets up his Mistcraft portals, except it's integrated into the mod. Um, really cool. Extra utilities. I basically can't live without it anymore. Once upon a time, when people like Slowpoke were like, hey, Rorax, you should check out extra utilities. I think it's really awesome. I looked at it and went, nah, it's too eclectic. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Nowadays, I can't live without it. Um, it's really an amazing mod. From drums to magnum torches, um, the transfer system using these pipes, all of it, absolutely fantastic. Even block update detectors could be really, really useful. Highly underused, those block update detectors, because people have kind of forgotten how useful they are. What else have we got here? Flat signs. Really awesome mod. Lets you put a sign on anything. Super simple idea. Glorious. Microblocks, of course. Being the aesthetic building kind of person I am, I'm going to have microblocks. Basically lets you have different sizes of block, from panels to covers and everything in between. Hollow fits around pipes. A lot of mods use it in order to allow you to hide their infrastructure nowadays. Gascraft. It's just cool. It's not majorly practical, it's just kind of cool. Gravestone, same deal. Adds more to the world. And in fact, you saw me break a couple of graves that were lying around out there while I was talking earlier. There's stuff in the graves. Rotten flesh, bones. Sometimes you get some nice things out of it, like I got that leather from one of the graves. At night, it's a bad idea to break graves because zombies, zombie cats, zombie dogs, even zombie horses can come out to get you. And it also has these mod features called mausoleums, but again, I'm going to leave us to find that one without explaining it too much. Jabber. Just another better barrel attempt, I think is what that stands for. Fantastic barrels. The idea was first realised by Neptune Pink of factorization fame. And I think Prof Mobius saw that idea and he was like, I love that idea, I think I can improve upon it. So he made a dedicated mod for barrels, and I love them as well, so now I use them. Lets you do all sorts of things, has an awesome kind of upgrade system to it. You'll see it in use. Magical crops. Originally, magical crops started out as this kind of mod to allow you to grow things that you would normally mine up out of the ground. Iron, coal, even things that you would get off monsters, blaze rods, that sort of thing. But recently it's extended into this system of more mundane things, so that's where these cooked mutton comes from. Blueberries, chilies, it's neat. I'm not a particularly huge fan of quarries, so I think later on in this play we're going to be growing a lot of our ores. But I really think it's a neat mod. I hope you do too, and don't think it's too cheap, because a lot of people think it's kind of overpowered, even though overpoweredness is kind of subjective to the entire idea of Minecraft. Mechanism. Yet another tech mod in the pack. Again, it's going to be interesting to try and balance what we use from what mod to what we use from other mods, but I'm going to try and use a bit of everything. Mechanism is really cool because it has a 5 times ore duplication process that I'm really interested in utilizing, and it's very it's very complex and very uh, very deep. So there's a lot of resources that actually go into getting that kind of duplication for ores. You may be hearing 5 times ore duplication. That's crazy. Yes, it is crazy. But by the time we have 5 times ore duplication, we may as well have as much ores as we want anyway. It's that kind of late game that we're looking at. Otherwise, Mechanism is a fantastic mod overall. Just another tech mod. Has everything: pulverizers, furnaces, um, and everything in between. Has even its own energy system nowadays. Utilizes redstone flux in that way as well. And what else have we got here? Player beacons. Personal, absolute favourite mod of mine. A lot of people think that beacons suck, and they absolutely do. Vanilla beacons are awful, but a lot of people also think they can't be improved upon and they're useless anyway. I don't think so, and neither did Kahera, which is the mod author. And so Kahera made player beacons, and player beacons let you make these kind of monolithic beacon structures. And why they're cool is because the buffs that you give yourself using these beacons are applied to your character no matter where you are. You don't have that really terrible like short range attachment that normal beacons have. So hopefully we're going to have a really cool beacon structure somewhere in the world at some point. Project Red, I love it because of lighting. It's basically why I get it. Also because of these lovely things from Project Red integration. Small state cells and other redstone logic devices all in the space of one block, rather than with vanilla redstone where some of those logic systems can take up like a 3x3 space or even bigger sometimes. And nowadays they've got a really cool item transfer system too, which we may try out a little bit, which sounds like it's similar to logistics pipes, but we'll see. Reactor craft. Best to talk about rotary craft first, actually. Rotary craft is Raker's idea of a complete tech mod. It has furnaces, pulverizers, that sort of thing, like many of the tech mods do these days. Raker's take on it. It uses a mechanical rotational energy system, so it's all through the idea of shaft power transfer. So it's got a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff, and it's fantastic. I really like the theme behind it. I think it's a fantastic mod. We're going to be using it probably the most out of the tech mods because I've just kind of fallen in love with it. And alongside that, the biggest partner to Rotocraft is Reactorcraft, which lets you build both atomic and fusion, even though fusion really is atomic, power plants to create energy for Raker's stuff. And then on top of that, you've got Electrocraft, which hopefully will help us with power transfer, because while mechanical transfer of power is neat, it can be cumbersome. So cables are cool. Moving along, Redstone Arsenal, companion to Thermal Expansion, which is further down this list. Redstone Arsenal is kind of just like some neat tools and things, as you can see up there in the NEI page. Thermal Expansion, another tech mod. We're probably going to be shying away from thermal expansion just because I've personally used it so much in the past, but I will be using it for ease of access. So if we need something and I can't think of a better way to do it, I'll use thermal expansion in order to just speed things along so we're never really stuck. Back up the list. Steve's Factory Manager. Brilliant idea from VSWE. basically lets you create these customizable transfer systems between different kinds of Minecraft data and interaction. You'll see a lot of that as well. I won't go into too much detail of explaining it here. It's a pretty complex idea with a very simple execution. So hard to explain, easy to show. Sync lets you create copies of yourself, clones of yourself, and then you have to equip yourself with different things. So hopefully we're going to be having plenty of that going around. It's pretty cool. When one clone dies, you are automatically booted into another clone to use. Thorncraft. Hopefully a lot of you are familiar with this one. It's basically the premier magic mod for Minecraft, at least I think so. Just to, inflate Asinore's ego a little bit. I love it. It's a wonderful mod. For a little while I was getting nicknamed the Queen of Thorncraft just because I had managed to conquer Kami at the same time, which comes with the mod Thormic Tinkerer. Thormic Tinkerer is a add-on mod to Thorncraft, which adds a lot of interesting blocks like the Osmotic Enchanter and the Transvector Dislocator. Really cool stuff. But it also adds this Kami module, and Kami module is basically awesomely overpowered stuff. The way that I've explained it to people in the past is it's kind of like the Quantum Suit add-on for Industrial Craft, but for magic mods. Firelanders add some interesting Enderman type stuff to the world where you can trade with them and fight with them, and adds all sorts of pretty interesting stuff. Twilight Forest, hopefully a lot of you are interested in that. Adds another dimension. That dimension has a lot of exploration and adventure stuff for us to go through. We covered thermal expansion. Tinker's Construct lets us create and customize our own tools, as well as having some interesting ore processing mechanics, as well as a few other neat things like these brownstones, which you can use as roads to make you move faster. Tinker's Mechworks is basically a companion mod to Tinker's Construct. It's the mechanical side of Tinker's Construct. At this stage, it's little more than these signal terminals and these drawbridges, but don't be fooled because those things are really powerful. Think of drawbridges as like Pistons 2.0. Translocator, really neat item transfer between a single block space. I won't go into too much detail there either, better to show than explain. Wireless Redstone Chicken Bones Edition, these three mods here, just adds wireless redstone. And hello zombie, please leave, thank you. And then we have Wild Caves 3, yet another one of those mods I've added to kind of like fill out the world and add polish to the world. This mod's premise is pretty simple too. It just adds kind of detail to caves. Glowing mushrooms, icicles to ice caves, sandstone to sand caves, stalactites to stone caves, bone piles, which are kind of like fossils inside rock. It's lets you get bones early, basically. Hopefully you'll see plenty of that going on. It also adds like webs and skulls and things to caves. And it does it in a tasteful way too. There's not too much of it. Then we've got Witchery, another enormous mod, which is better to show than tell. But it basically is my second favourite magic mod of all time at the moment, and growing in competition to Thorncraft. It is super cool. It takes on less of a useful aspect in a single player setting because it has a lot of its interest is around PvP, but then even in single player it's got some really cool stuff, and it's show not tell. Exact mod, exact crafting table. It's kind of like this really cool advanced crafting table where you can save recipes and load them, and nothing really leaves. It's neat. Grimoire of Gaia 2, lots of really awesome pixel art. But it's what adds the griffins and the centaurs and things. And let's see if we can spot a griffin. Should be one out here somewhere. Sitting in the valley. Oh, well, you can see something down there. That is a Dullahan, I think, which is a character that wears its head on its back. Let's go say hello. So, Grimoire of Gaia, really hard mod normally. I've turned down the difficulty a bit. I didn't want it to be crazy hard, because basically that fight there would have guaranteed my death on normal settings this early in the game. But that's what's making Nighttime so scary. Adds lots of really awesome creatures to the world of Minecraft. Again, it's one of those things to fill it out. So that's all the mods that NEI recognises. On top of that, we've got better trees and leaves, which adds like just cool looking grass and leaves. I think I explained that one close to the beginning of this video. We have NEI, we have inventory takes, and while I'm here I'm going to move that. We have Opus, we have what am I looking at, which is what's bringing that box up at the very top of my screen. Basically tells me what something is and what mod it's from, as well as some other useful information depending on what mod block I'm looking at. And I think that's about it. If I come across anything else, I will be sure to tell you. Oh yes, actually, infernal mobs. We haven't seen any yet, but we have infernal mobs. What that basically does is, if you are familiar with Diablo, it adds a Diablo-style rare monsters to the world, where you can have a zombie with a set of abilities or a set of passive attributes to the zombie to make them more interesting and harder. Really cool. Anyway, I'm just gonna take a break here and I'll be right back. Okay, so actually all that explanation of the mods and our little hovel here and running about and introducing you to the first episode has actually run its course. What I might do off screen a bit is get mining, get a little bit of early resources. I won't do any building because I want to make sure we get those responses in the comments. But I just don't want episode 2 to be so empty and devoid of anything happening. So I'll make sure we get that done. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.